From now until 2060, we're going to have to produce as much food as we've produced in the last 500 years. What we eat, other than what comes out of the oceans, is all derived from soil. Soil security is equal to food security. So if we want to make sure that we can feed the world's population, we're going to have to understand how do we make sure that our soil has the capability of producing these crops.
I'm Keith Burns, the president and co-owner of Green Cover Seed here in Bladen, Nebraska. Co-own it along with my brother Brian. Key to this soil health system, it's really all about the carbon. So carbonomics is a term that hopefully will get people thinking in an economic frame of mind, but using carbon as the currency. If I want more carbon, I have to have plants growing more often. So I can't just have corn and soybeans growing from May through September. I've got to have a cover crop growing from October through April. And that's where I get the big extra boost of carbon into my system.
Cover crops are simply crops planted between your cash crops that aren't really planted to be harvested necessarily. They're just there to try to put carbon back in the soil, to utilize sunlight during times of year that our cash crops are not, to protect the soil, by providing a living cover to shield the soil from erosion. Soil is a living, breathing system. Sometimes we have to feed it a little for it to feed us. And it's like a relationship. If you're in a relationship where all you do is take, and you take the maximum you can at every opportunity, what are the odds of that relationship lasting very long?
The saying that I like to use is, I'm not really treating the plant, I'm treating the soil. If you treat the soil right and take care of the soil, your crops will come. Our model is 40 different crops. We're always rotating crops around, and like I only like to put crops in one patch of soil for 3 years, and then I automatically rotate it out, whether it's berries, vegetables, or whatever. I keep my farm stand open pretty much year-round and keep feeding different crops into that. And then that builds my customer base, and more people come by. I think we need large corporate farms to feed America, but I think we feed society with farms like mine.
As a big food company, is that food isn't a zero-sum game. As I think about what I heard today, I was blown away by the amount of science. And I know that the science has been there and the research is good, but I was really impressed. And then came this talk of how do we link the science and what we know to creating the economic models that give producers a chance to move forward with some level of confidence. That has to happen.
People who are really into growing sustainably and holistically are passionate, and that's what you should be looking for. A farmer who's excited about what they're doing and what they're growing.
Remember the lessons of the Dust Bowl, that those images haunt us. We want to keep the soil in place, we want to take care of this earth and keep it moving after we're long gone.
We're the fourth generation on this farm. My kids and my brother's kids would be the fifth generation. It's been in our family for well over 100 years. One of the things that we're learning more and more how to do is become better observers. Our forefathers were great observationists. They had PhDs in it, and with as fast times that we have today, we really don't take the time to notice changes in the environment. And I think we're seeing a lot more because we're taking more time to observe what's really going on around us.
But a lot of people call the microbes sort of the black box. It's the unknown territory, and there's so little that we know, but we understand that they're very important in soil ecology. Most people can count up to 150 in about 30 seconds. So if you were to sit down and try to count all the microorganisms in this tablespoon of soil without stopping and having absolutely no breaks, it would take you about 6.5 years.
In the last 100 years, we've oxidized over half our organic matter into the atmosphere, primarily through tillage. we've lost half of the basic building block that makes soil productive. Half of it's gone. And we haven't been at this very long in terms of the life of a soil. I mean, in Indiana, maybe we've been tilling the soil to some degree for 200 years, and we've been doing it intensively for the last 50. Project what will happen if we continue that. The good news here, though, is that there are so many win-win-wins. Very seldom in life do we find win-win-win scenarios, truly. So when we quit tilling, when we build our organic matter, our production goes up, our costs go down, we clean up the rivers, lakes, oceans, we keep the off-site pollution problems from happening. I mean, all these things come together. Those are the reasons why we want to do it. You know, my goal personally is before I become part of the earth again, I would like to see our organic matters be what they were before man came along.
Let's be concerned about the soil, making sure it stays put as much as we can possibly, because without the soil, we don't have food. There just won't be any. And so we all got to be concerned about soil health, quality of it, and the depth of it. Like I said before, you don't feed the plants, you feed the soil. Well, that's true in every aspect. Whether you're a home gardener and using compost, or whether you don't have a home garden, you just have a yard. Watch how you treat your yard. Make sure you don't have runoff leaving your property. That's pretty key to stop soil erosion and runoff into the bays and estuaries and things like that. So it's critical for all of us to be thinking about soil health and keep it in place.
That the answer to many of the serious issues we currently face as society, climate adaptation, safe and affordable food, and clean water, all begins and depends on the health of the soil.
The farmers in Maryland are by far and away the most highly cover cropped in the country, but most of it is because of the state cost share program. I think the reason Maryland has such a strong cover crop program in a lot of ways is based on the collaboration of the environmental community with the farming community. If you do cover crops and you pull the nutrients up out of the soil in the fall when the soil is still alive and you get most of your infiltration, you've got a little bit of excess nitrogen there, you've got a little bit of phosphorus there, you pull it up and you don't get it into the waterways and into the groundwater. So it's a pretty simple, it's pretty easy to understand. But farmers say, well, we're not going to do cover crops. We don't have enough money. The farming's tough. It's the early 90s. We didn't have $6 corn. It was tough. We're not going to spend an extra amount of money. So they said, well, what if we get cost share for it? You had the Farm Bureau and the environmental groups both going to the state legislature saying, hey, we need this.
We have also appropriated $2 million emergency funds for a state-only program to help Maryland farmers with a winter cover crop. Our solution is going to be on the land, and it's not going to be an easy solution. We're going to have to take decisive action. I believe it will be expensive. I believe it's going to take some political courage for us to require what must be done.
Through that collaboration, we were able to get dedicated funding to pay us to do cover crops.
I've been with the Department of Agriculture for 17 years, and of those 17 years, our base payment for cover crop is $45 an acre. We've tried to look at all the different options that the farmer already uses so that we're not putting him at a disadvantage for how to get the cover crop planted. We offer incentives for different species. When we started adding the additional incentives and prioritizing certain best management practices, the program has just grown. It's grown considerably just in the last 5 years.